Yesterday was June 28th, and that was the 56th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Each year, what we commemorate is telling our oppressors we won't be messed with without a fight. And when we fight together, we win together. It is my honor to be here at Woodbury Heart and Soul's first Pride celebration. I hope it won't be the last. Back in 2017, when Woodbury first got dressed up for Pride, when there were rainbow Pride banners first lined Broad Street, I admit I wondered out loud if y'all were ready for that. To collectively take on the challenge of standing up in a world where the folks those rainbows represent are not always welcome or celebrated is quite a task. Y'all were the first neighborhood in my collective hometown to step up, and for 8 years, y'all have said, Pride matters, and I thank you. The city of Woodbury also elected the first trans woman to partisan office in the entire state of New Jersey. I was honored to hold the Bible as Jo Miller was sworn in for her first full term this year. Big thanks for that. I'm gonna need to rely on the poets today for some words of hope and wisdom. If we only pay attention to the news and social media with those comment sections, it may look like all is lost in our nation, and that the majority of people in this country hate my community. Just as one screaming baby can unnerve an airplane full of people, a very loud and very nasty minority has assumed permission to spew hatred and outright lies at will. You're supposed to think all is lost. That's what distraction and overwhelm are all about. But it isn't. It's not lost. And these hateful liars are not a majority. They simply have the majority of power and control for now. The Battle of Red Bank, I love history by the way, was fought less than 4 miles from here. That was October of 1777. A British and Hessian force attacked Fort Mercer, but they were defeated by a smaller American Continental Army force. We won that battle. The fort was eventually lost to the British later on. But that initial victory right here in National Park was a significant morale boost for the American cause during the Revolutionary War. On this soil, we did not win every battle fought, but together we still won the war. If we focus our attention on the actual majority of human beings around us, we'll find our neighbors, human beings who look out for one another every day and work hard together for a peaceful place to live and to grow. You'll find love, decency, and compassion, and you'll know hope is far from lost. My mother grew up in Mount Royal until she moved to Woodbury Heights in 1946. My father grew up in New Sharon. My parents married in Herville in January of 1950, and they lived in a little apartment on Cooper Street right here in Woodbury until 1953, when they moved into the house my father built in Mantua Township. My parents are gone now, and I moved back to that house in 2020 after 35 years in Philadelphia. I'm a South Jersey girl through and through, a woman of trans experience, and Woodbury is very much a part of my roots and my hometown. It's good to be back. Today, the work I do is with a mind to keep queer and trans people not just alive, but equipped to thrive. I do earn my living, as Joe said, as an addictions and co-occurring counselor, specializing in the unique needs and experiences of the LGBTQIA+ communities. Together with my amazing therapy partner, we have built an award-winning treatment program, and it is fast becoming a national model. We have a table full of rainbow fans back there in the corner. I know, it's hot. We've seen outcomes most never thought possible because we work from the simple premise that representation matters, and everyone deserves to achieve recovery and good mental health with dignity and with respect of their full humanity. Naturally, including sexual orientation and gender identity, just like everyone else's orientation and gender, have always been respected and affirmed in treatment. It's somehow innovative to finally also notice ours. Until and unless I am disappeared, I'll use every available platform to tell my young siblings to square their shoulders, hold your heads high, and hold on tight to knowing exactly who you are, because who and what you are isn't weird, it isn't sinful, it isn't wrong, it's beautiful, it's important. If anything, it's rare. I want to remind every single human being here, you matter. As our lives are being politicized daily, from state houses to the White House, and even by our not-so-Supreme Court. We're right here, and I, for one, am not going anywhere. I will continue to use every platform I am given to make sure the truth is always standing right next to their lies. And I do trust the power of the truth. I need to talk about what we're seeing every day, but first I just want to do a little reality check. When you have a toothache, you do not visit your mechanic. When the electric goes out, you don't call the water company. When you need to consult an attorney, you don't call a gynecologist. See where I'm going? I would never send anyone, especially not a child, to a politician when what they need to survive and to thrive is a doctor specializing in gender-affirming medicine. If we have any common sense at all, we seek out an expert when we need one. Cancer diagnosis, hopefully you have insurance and it allows you to find a licensed oncologist, not somebody who plays one on the internet. Heart attack, cardiologist, not a plumber. And your dentist is unlikely to be able to fix your transmission. Yet, we have politicians across this country forcing hateful, entirely unnecessary laws against trans people, like our existence is the greatest problem this nation faces. I promise you, it isn't. Millions in tax dollars are being wasted not to protect anyone from anything. In fact, their actions consistently make us all less safe. This is a campaign of hate to marginalize the already marginalized, so rich folks can line their pockets while we are overwhelmed with their nonsense. It's a tale as old as time. It was nearly 60 years ago that President Lyndon Johnson said, a full quote, "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you." How are we still here? It's a rhetorical question. Trans folks are being used as a distraction. in sports, in classrooms, in workplaces, in our military. We were everywhere. We belong everywhere. And all the experts who help to keep us alive and healthy will tell you just that. I am tired of them calling me a debate. I'm tired of them targeting innocent children, their loving families, and the medical professionals doing the right thing to allow us to thrive too. Trans children exist, people. I know that because I was one. Come talk to me, a grown trans woman who not only knows who I am, but I also know a bully when I see one. I haven't been afraid of these small minds since they chased me out of high school 45 years ago. I'm back. Growing up around here in the late 1970s, I was bullied to an extent I never want one more kid to endure for the crime of being different. Then, much like now, I was told I did not exist. I was told I was mentally ill, and not in those words. I was told I was an abomination, and the telling was always violent. The thing about scars is they toughen when they heal. So if for a moment you hear propaganda and think there is any validity at all, take a harder look at how your pocket is being picked while you are being taught to hate a small and peaceful segment of the population who are not hurting anyone. Trans people are far more likely to be the victims of an assault in a public bathroom than anyone else. And we are never the perpetrators. Never. There is no women's sport where we have ever dominated. Some of us, for some reason, just want to play. To be included for once. The people who call us perverts and pedophiles are, in fact, the segment of the population where pedophiles overwhelmingly come from. Of course, they want you to look over here while they victimize children. We not only need to ask ourselves better questions, but these politicians need to start answering for the devastation they are causing to innocent citizens for the crime of not showing up, white, cisgendered, and heterosexual. That's where we are. From Germany in the 1930s to Jim Crow laws into the 1960s to present-day America in 2025, the politics of hate and exclusion never take us anywhere good. We need to help the elected officials who promise to serve take a good look in the mirror. They serve only a tired ideology that minimizes the many and benefits too few. There have been factions of religion trying to dispose of queer and trans people for generations. They never have and they never will because people keep having babies. It's that simple. Some will show up left-handed, like me. Some with blue eyes, like me. Some with red hair, like me once upon a time. Some will be queer and some will be trans and some intersex, some asexual. All of the shades of gender and sexuality will continue to show up everywhere on this planet because these are natural variations in the human experience. That's it. Humans don't only come in two versions. Thank God. We need to ask ourselves if this is the world we want to pass on. I was hoping to pass along a more inclusive world than the one that tortured me. One with more understanding of one another, where we are more, not less, willing to know facts that are knowable. That is not where we are. I refer to these people only as politicians because they are not leaders. Because leaders lead. Bullies overpower, obfuscate, and overwhelm. Bullies will do anything to get what they want. The rest of us be damned. Bullies are never satisfied, and they only ever stop when we reveal them for what they are and say together, enough. 2 weeks ago across this nation, we saw more than 5 million protesters take to the streets in every state in this nation. I found those crowds heartening and hopeful. When you hear ugly rhetoric, I hope you ask yourself, is this meant to divide? Am I being told to hate my neighbor while my government picks my pockets? But thank God little trans girls can't play soccer. It was the great Langston Hughes who said America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings convive, nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. More and more of us are learning what it is to be marginalized in your own country. It isn't pleasant, and here's the warning. If you don't fight for my rights, you can expect yours will soon erode as well. If you are content as long as things are happening to others, you're gonna run out of others. The things that are happening because we've forgotten we are all connected. We're all in the same boat. Some of us keep drilling holes. And words matter. They can start wars, end lives, encourage hope, or ensure defeat. Propaganda, half-truths, and outright lies don't alter the science keeping trans kids alive. It does kill them. I long to see civility return to our public discourse and stay there. Empathy needs a serious comeback. Pride acknowledges that when we stand together, we are less likely to be victims of a government seeking to control us. Since I spoke 2 weeks ago in Pittman, the current administration promised to end funding for specialized suicide prevention support for LGBTQ people on the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That is cruelty for the sake of being cruel. We know those specialized operators save lives. Thankfully, 988 isn't the only place for us to turn. The Supreme Court abandoned upholding the Constitution by endorsing Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors, saying this cruel law does not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Tell those kids that. If you can't explain it, it shouldn't be happening. And yet, even the Supreme Court is complicit just now. On our side always are the facts. Every major medical association in the nation. Politicians with very full pockets have to lie to rally support for the issues they themselves created out of whole cloth. Dealing with a world hell-bent on turning you into a joke takes fortitude. It takes a level of strength and self-knowledge most folks never need, let alone attain. Poll after poll tells us a majority of the American public do not support these invasive laws and political attacks on queer and trans people. It's almost as if these particular politicians do not serve the American people at all. In The Hill We Climb, Amanda Gorman said, and yes, we are far from the polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. So we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew. Even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. And it was Maya Angelou who said, every storm runs out of rain, and Thomas Fuller who said, it's always darkest just before the day dawns. Right now I'm going to hold on to the words of the poets because too many of the politicians have lost their way. Pride says we still love one another and choose to see one another as fully human. Pride says together we can figure anything out. Pride says, and will always remember, that when we stand together against the bullies, we do win. Happy Pride, Woodbury, and thank you.